She tried to get him fired. Then this happened. Working in IT comes with a hidden benefit. You don't actually have to solve every problem. Some things are strictly handled by other departments. Passwords, for example, were completely off his plate. That was cybersecurity's job. Simple system, clear rules. Until one call came in that turned a quiet shift into absolute chaos. It was a normal day at the help desk. He was supervising a couple of interns, answering tickets, nothing out of the ordinary. The kind of shift where you're just cruising. Then the phone rang, and within seconds, he knew this one was going to be a problem. The voice on the other end didn't ease into anything. No greeting, no patience, just immediate frustration. She introduced herself like it was supposed to mean something. A senior manager from another department, then went straight into blaming him for her issue. Her password wasn't working, and somehow, that was IT's fault. No explanation, no troubleshooting attempts, just straight to anger. You could almost picture her sitting there, arms crossed, already convinced the system was broken. He stayed calm, did exactly what he was trained to do. Started with the basics. Asked her to have a coworker try logging in on her computer, just to confirm whether it was a system issue or user error. You could hear her frustration as she dragged someone over. Probably not politely either. A few seconds later, the coworker logged in perfectly. No issues, no delay, which confirmed exactly what he already suspected. The system wasn't the problem, her password was. And that meant only one thing: she had to go to cybersecurity for a reset. Simple process. Walk over, show ID. Done in minutes. But she didn't want simple. She wanted instant. Right there. Over the phone. No walking. No waiting. No accountability. He explained it clearly. IT doesn't handle passwords. That's a security policy. No exceptions. Doesn't matter who you are. Doesn't matter how important you think your job is. That's when the volume went up. She started comparing companies, saying her last workplace handled it differently, as if policies just magically transfer between jobs. They don't. Then she let something slip. Cybersecurity had already warned her. If she showed up again for another reset, she'd be written up. That's when it clicked. This wasn't bad luck, this was a pattern. She kept forgetting her password, and now she was trying to dodge the consequences by getting someone else to break the rules for her. He didn't bend, didn't escalate, didn't argue. Just repeated the same answer. Calm. Clear. Unmovable. That's when she snapped completely. The insults started flying. Not subtle either. Full personal attacks. Threats about his job. Acting like she could get him fired with one complaint. Then she hung up, just like that. No resolution, no fix, just anger. Now here's where most people mess up. They react emotionally, argue back, say something they regret. He didn't. Instead, he did the smartest thing you can do in IT. He documented everything, every detail of the call, the tone, the language, the exact issue. Because in this job, receipts matter. A few hours later, he got called into his boss's office, which is never a great sign. HR had received a complaint, and yeah, you already know who it was from. His boss asked him to explain. No accusations, just a straight question. So he walked through it calmly, start to finish, even referenced the ticket he logged. Then came the best part. They pulled up the call recording, sat there listening to the whole thing. And within minutes, the mood completely changed. No tension, no concern, just laughter. Because the recording made everything crystal clear. He followed protocol perfectly, stayed calm the entire time, and she did the exact opposite. The complaint didn't go anywhere. In fact, it backfired hard. HR now had a record of her behavior. Her department head got the call recording, and suddenly, she wasn't the victim anymore. He walked out of that office completely fine, job intact, reputation solid, and she, probably still dealing with the consequences of trying to game a system that records everything. Because in IT, you don't win against the logs.
Starting a new job in IT sounds simple until you're actually in it. New systems, new people, and a constant fear of messing something up. So on your second day, you're not trying to be a hero. You just want easy tickets, quick wins, and to stay under the radar. This story goes in the exact opposite direction. He had just started in IT support, still learning how everything worked. His supervisor was solid, knew the job inside out, but didn't tolerate nonsense from users. At the time, that sounded reassuring. Later, it would become the best thing that could have happened. The ticket came in from a guy named Jeff. The message was short, but urgent. His database wasn't working, and according to him, it was critical to his role. The kind of issue that sounds serious, until you actually look into it. So the new IT guy reached out straight away. Polite, professional, just doing his job. After a quick check, he figured it out. The application needed a reinstall. Simple fix. Nothing complicated. Something you'd expect to handle without drama. The only downside? It would take about 20 minutes. And during that time, Jeff wouldn't be able to use his laptop. Which, in IT terms, is completely normal. Short wait. Long-term fix. So he explained it clearly. About 20 minutes. You won't be able to work during that time. Then you'll be good to go. JF didn't argue. Didn't push back. Just went quiet. The install started. Progress bar moving. Everything working as expected. At this point, it's the kind of task you barely think about. Just let it run. 5 minutes later, message pops up. And instantly, something feels off. This is unacceptable. You said it would take 20 minutes. Now, that doesn't even make sense. It's only been 5. So the IT guy replies calmly, explains the progress, points out it's about 1/3 done, and everything's on track. Nothing unusual. Nothing broken. But Jeff wasn't interested in logic. He jumped straight to demands. Cancel the install. Right now. No patience. No understanding. Just pressure. Think about that. He reported a problem, got a solution, then refused the process needed to fix it. It's like calling a plumber, then telling them they're not allowed to turn the water off. At this point, the new IT guy starts stressing. Second day on the job, and already dealing with someone threatening complaints. Not exactly the smooth start he was hoping for. Still, he keeps it together, stays polite, tells Jeff the ticket will remain open until they can properly fix the issue. But before he can even walk over to explain things, he hears his supervisor on the phone. And the tone? Completely different. His supervisor wasn't playing nice. If this is so important, why won't you let us fix it? Straight to the point. No sugarcoating. Then came the line that mattered. If you can't give us time to work on your machine, this ticket stays on hold. That was it. Decision made, and just like that, everything stopped. No fix, no progress. Just a problem sitting there, waiting. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And nothing changed. 3 months later, Jeff comes back. Same issue. Still not fixed. But now he has a new demand. He wants IT to take his laptop overnight. Stay back after hours and fix it while he's not using it. Basically, he wants zero inconvenience. That got shut down immediately. Because at that point, it wasn't about helping anymore. It was about not rewarding bad behavior. After repeatedly asking when it would be fixed, the IT guy checks with his supervisor again, hoping for some kind of resolution. The answer? Close the ticket. No. So he closes it. And almost instantly, Jeff calls back. But this time, there's no patience left. No flexibility. No extra effort. He gets told exactly what he should have done from the start. Cooperate. Because somehow, he refused to wait 20 minutes, but ended up waiting 3 months instead. And honestly, that says everything. CEO thought he was being hacked. It was way dumber. In big companies, when something goes wrong for the CEO, it's never treated as a small problem. Even the tiniest issue can turn into full panic. So when a call comes through saying the CEO's computer might be hacked, you don't ignore it. You move fast. Because if it is real, It's a disaster. This guy worked IT support at a massive defense company. Thousands of employees, multiple buildings, tight security. The kind of place where everything feels high stakes. Most days were routine. Fixing tickets, handling standard issues. Nothing too exciting. Then one Friday, near the end of the day, everything changed. The phone rang, and the voice on the other end? Not calm. It was the CEO's secretary, and she sounded stressed. "Something's wrong with his computer," she said. "He's trying to open a file, and it's just random texts everywhere." Then she dropped the word no one wants to hear. "We think we've been hacked." Now in most places, that's already serious. But here, it was worse. Because just weeks earlier, activists had broken into the company and caused chaos. So suddenly, this wasn't just an IT issue. This was potentially a security incident, and that means pressure. A lot of it. He connected remotely to the CEO's computer, started looking at the file, and almost immediately, he knew what was wrong. But instead of fixing it right there, he paused. Because this was a rare opportunity. You don't get called into the CEO's office every day. So he said, "I'll come take a look in person." And within minutes, he was on his way. He grabbed one of the company's small electric cars and drove across the site. Different buildings, different departments, all leading to one place. The executive building. Completely different atmosphere. Security waved him straight through. No delay. He reached the top floor. Doors opened. The secretary, a manager, and other staff were all gathered around, waiting, watching, like this was a critical moment. Then the CEO showed him the screen. A Word document filled with complete nonsense. Random characters everywhere. Exactly what you'd expect from something hacked. He looked at the screen, then at the CEO, then around the room. Everyone was silent, waiting for an answer. At this point, you could have cut the tension with a knife. Because if this was a hack, it was a big problem. He turned back to the desk, looked at the keyboard, and there it was, sitting right on top of it, a newspaper, pressed across multiple keys. So he calmly reached over, picked it up, and said, "Try again." The CEO opened the file, and just like that, everything was normal. No random texts, no glitch, no hack. Just a completely normal document. The entire cybersecurity panic was caused by a newspaper resting on the keyboard. All that stress, all that urgency, all those people involved, for something that simple. And the best part? No one said anything at first, just silence, followed by that slow realization. Then the mood shifted, from panic to embarrassment to relief. He walked out of there with an easy win. Problem solved in seconds, and even got a free lunch out of it. Not bad for fixing the most overhyped hack in company history. He thought he lost his photos forever. Then this happened. Most days working in tech retailer are pretty routine. People come in with small problems, slow phones, forgotten passwords, things like that. Nothing too serious. But every now and then, you get a situation that hits a little different. And this was one of those moments. He was working in a mobile store when an older man walked in. You could tell right away. He wasn't confident with technology. A bit hesitant. A bit unsure. Like he'd already been turned away before. And he had. He explained that he'd already gone to other stores. Some told him they couldn't help. Others refused because he didn't buy the phone from them. So by the time he got here, this was kind of his last shot. He asked a simple question. "Is there any way to get my photos back?" That was it. No anger, no demands. Just hope. He explained the situation. He had a new phone. He thought everything was backed up to iCloud. But when he signed in, nothing was there. And you could hear it in his voice. He wasn't just worried. He already believed they were gone. So the employee took the phone, did a quick check. Account was signed in. Settings looked fine at first glance. But something felt off. Then he spotted it. One small setting. Photo sync wasn't turned on. That was it. That was the problem. So he switched it on. No big moment, no dramatic build-up. Just one tap. And then, the photos started appearing. One after another. Dozens. Then hundreds. Within seconds, over 300 photos began syncing onto the phone. Everything had been there the whole time, just waiting to be pulled through. He handed the phone back, calmly. Looks like it's working now. Like it was nothing. Before the man, it wasn't nothing. He looked at the screen, scrolled through the photos, and then, he started to cry. Not quietly either. Full emotion. Relief hitting all at once. 'Cause those weren't just random pictures. They were photos of his son and his grandson. Both of them had passed away. Just 2 weeks earlier. In a crash. And he thought he'd lost the last memories he had of them. Gone for good. No way to get them back. Until that moment, standing in a random phone store. After being turned away everywhere else. All it took was someone actually taking a minute to check properly. No special tools. No complicated fix. Just attention. And sometimes, that's the difference between losing something forever and getting it back. Not every IT story is frustration, or arguments, or people making things harder than they need to be. Sometimes, it's just about helping someone, when it actually matters. And that's how this one ends. Not with drama, not with conflict, but with something rare. A moment that actually mattered. Because at the end of the day, technology isn't just about devices. It's about what people keep on them. Memories. Moments. Things you can't replace. And sometimes, a fix that takes less than a minute means everything to someone else. But what do you think? Have you ever lost something like this and somehow got it back? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy stories like this, make sure to subscribe, because there's plenty more coming.